So I'm pretty sure that was around season 3 when that happened.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
I've already
How long are the seasons?
I've already cycled through once. I'm in my second cycle. I'm pretty sure in season 3 Toodles starts to talk, and I think
How many episodes are in a season?
it varies. The first 2 seasons I think are 40-some episodes.
Okay,
that
that's
makes more
that's why
sense.
it's
That makes
But
longer.
somewhere in season 3, I think Toodles starts to talk.
Yeah.
And I think the voice actor for Mickey might have changed.
I think they did it
because the intro Charlotte like always smiles at, but in season 3 for some reason she just doesn't respond the same way to hey there everybody, and then I'm just like I think this is a different person for me.
The magic has left the kingdom.
Hey everybody, it's me, Mickey Mouse. Say, you wanna come to my clubhouse? Yeah. No, we're not doing that. This is BakaTaka, I guess. Episode number
Whatever.
473.
I'm sure. Don't even try it.
It's only-
I'm your host on the right, Jeff. Clear to my left. Your left, my right. It's, yeah, because my right, but their left, because they're facing us.
Yes.
It's all the way to my right.
All the way?
All
Okay.
the way.
George.
And then to my immediate right, your left. It's
Aaron.
And we come here today to gather to mourn the loss of BakaTaka and what it was before, because I don't watch anime, so the camera's going to go to those two for 10 minutes.
So a moment of silence.
Oh, wait, hold on. Before that,
Never mind,
I
no moment
actually
of
have
silence.
watched an anime recently.
Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Charlotte and I just recently watched
Overflow?
the Disney dub version of My Neighbor Totoro.
Good.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, I actually recently watched that maybe a month ago for the first time.
So the Dakota Fanning and her sister played
Yeah.
Mei and Satsuki.
now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was actually really well done.
It really was. I was really surprised by how dark it does get.
Yeah.
I did not expect that from My Neighbor Totoro.
Yeah. It's
That
I
was-
didn't realize how like the music is really moody, like
It is.
right until the atomic bomb. Before the
Wait a
tree,
minute.
before the tree,
Hold up.
and then everything goes into this like really cool major kind of key, and then
Well,
it goes
it
into
was,
the Totoro song everybody knows about.
It was Joe
never seen
is it
this.
Hisai
I don't know.
Hisaishi or Hisaishi, who does a lot of the music for Ghibli films. I think he did the music for Totoro as well. Amazing soundtracks.
Yeah.
He's just one of those composers that just
So-
he captures the feel. He
So
does.
I didn't realize. So if you go back in BakaTaka lore, when I first started the Ghibli Film Fest,
Yep.
I last stopped, I think, at not Spirited Away.
Tales of the Earthsea, the best.
No,
Nausicaa.
no, not Nazca.
Mononoke, House
The
of
really,
Castle.
really, Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh, I have not seen
I
that
did
yet.
not realize in theaters, Totoro and Grave of the Fireflies were featurettes together.
What?
Totoro bombed in the theaters, and the people behind the scenes kind of knew it was going to bomb, but they gambled on it. But they're like, hey, if we're going to do this, have another movie go with it, and they decided upon Grave of the Fireflies. So they were both released as like a double feature at the time in theaters. Grave of the Fireflies did spectacular, Totoro not so much.
Interesting.
It wasn't.
They made you watch it.
It wasn't until TV release that Totoro exploded in popularity.
I
Apparently,
still feel like, as a whole, it's not the movie Totoro that's necessarily as popular. I think it's the character that is, in a way.
I would say.
Which is interesting.
And I don't know how many like kids and families and stuff went. I don't know. The 80s was a different time.
That is true.
But it's definitely much different feel between the two of them. But yeah, I watched Totoro finally. It was fun. I haven't seen it in Japanese yet, but the Disney dub was really, really good.
I was impressed.
So yeah, that's all I've watched. I don't watch anime.
I haven't seen it.
You should watch it.
You
It
should
captures
watch it. It's on
it
HBO
captures
Max.
the feeling of childhood and all the graces that come with childhood. It has no story. I mean, it kind of does, but it actually doesn't. There's no story to Totoro.
You do have to watch it in order though. Like it has a story, but
yeah, I mean, it,
How you
it-
watch
it's
something-
like
how you watch
Napoleon
a movie
kind
out
of
of order.
I mean,
backwards,
if it's
in
just like
reverse.
on
Oh.
and you watch it, you're
Oh,
like, oh, I'm
okay.
gonna watch this. Kind of like
You
can't just come in the
that
middle.
samurai movie with Tom Cruise that everyone's seen on AMC.
Last Samurai?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's.
I've never seen it.
Which one's
Really?
the Ronin?
I know that one guy gets kicked in the crotch by a horse though.
I'm pretty sure I've seen The Last
Kicks him in the
Samurai.
chin.
Yeah, he does.
Probably a dozen times, but never in order. Only once because it was on AMC so many times. I'm like, yeah, there's nothing else on. I guess I'll watch this, and it's like 4 hours
It's
or
a
something
long
ridiculous. Yeah.
movie.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's over 3 hours.
But Totoro, you could watch like that.
Can we get a fact check? How long is The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
It's definitely not as long as.
And
what's the
again,
one you
with
made me watch?
AMC's going to interject
something.
commercials
What?
every 20
Oh,
minutes or something.
Braveheart?
Yeah, Braveheart sucks.
Braveheart's long.
Braveheart is so
Braveheart's long.
good.
You know what happened?
It's long, but
Mom
it's
and
good.
Dad went out
Uh-oh.
in the night. It was just me and George. I don't know where Kat was. She wasn't there. And he was like, "We're gonna watch a movie." I was like, "Cool." Big bro
2.5
George.
hours for The Last Samurai.
What?
2.5. That is so much shorter than I thought. I mean, it's still a long movie.
AMC puts in a lot of commercials then. Because
Yeah.
it's always like 4 hours when it's on. But
Well,
whatever.
AMC,
Either
syndicated
way,
television.
George is like, "We're gonna watch a movie. It's a good one." I was like, "Cool."
Wait, senior or junior?
Me.
Oh, okay.
It was just me and him.
I don't know if you call your dad George now because.
I don't call him much.
Anyway. So you're going to watch a movie.
We're gonna watch a movie, and I was like, "Cool, we'll watch a movie." George has a movie for us, and he turns on this movie, and I was like, "Cool," and I'm watching it. He didn't let me know it was 4 hours long.
It's not.
I'm laying there just like,
Get a fact check.
Can
on
we get a
Braveheart.
fact check? How long is
I'm
Braveheart?
fairly certain Braveheart's 3.5 hours.
And we didn't watch it with commercials, so it was just straight movie.
it was so boring.
It was. Braveheart's not boring.
Do you not love freedom and kilts
I don't like.
and lightning?
I don't like.
Braveheart is 2 hours and 58 minutes.
What?
That's probably with credits too.
Okay.
How long is Gladiator? Can we get a fact check? How long is Gladiator?
A little over 2, I think. Gladiator is not as long as you'd think.
It was okay.
Yeah.
It's a good.
Wait,
revenge
wait,
movie.
you take that back. It wasn't an okay movie. It was probably the greatest movie of the past, like, 4 decades.
Gladiator runtime is 2 hours and 35 minutes.
Okay.
Also, our mother's favorite movie. Don't ever disrespect that movie.
Yeah, Gladiator's probably one of my favorite movies of all time,
I've got
too.
2 more.
okay with that.
How long is The Patriot? Because that's essentially Braveheart with an American skin.
I want to say Patriot's knocking on 3 hours as well. It is very long. I want to say...
And then, crap, you already made me forget the next one. There's another one. I'll come back to me.
Patriot runtime is 2 hours and 55 minutes.
Okay.
Wow, you were right on there,
sounds
right
about
on the
right,
money.
yeah.
That movie,
Patriot's very good.
I really like The Patriot. There's, that's what it was. The Count of Monte Cristo. I think the 90s version. I think it came out in the
Yeah.
90s or early 2000s. I can't remember. So fact check the year it came out and its length, please.
It may actually take longer to watch The Count of Monte Cristo than it does to read The Count of Monte Cristo. It's a long movie.
It
thick book,
is.
though.
It is.
I love that movie.
It's
There's
a
two
very...
Count of Monte Cristos, the 2002 and 1975.
The 2002 version.
okay.
I want to say that one's like...
It has Guy Pearce in it, right?
I believe so. I want to
think
say
it
it's knocking on 3 hours.
2002 Count of Monte Cristo runtime is 2 hours and 40 minutes.
No.
That can't be right.
No, I feel like it's longer
No,
than
so
that.
I mean, so think about it. Early 2000s, it kind of makes sense that a movie that has that much content would be that short. I think a lot of movies in that time period were focusing on the length of the movie being something that really matters to get people to watch it.
Yeah.
Because I think people will look at a movie and they'll go, "I have to be in the theater."
Yeah, because I know
for 3.5
James Cameron
hours
got
for
criticized
this."
a lot all the time because he wants like 3-hour spectaculars every single time. And everyone's like, bruh, half that and more explosions.
And I think the early mid 2000s was when a big shift happened where movies went from being as a whole less about necessarily the art of it and more about box office revenue. And I mean, revenue is always important, of course, but I think the early to mid 2000s is when we saw a big shift in how much play that had on things where they could have developed the story more, or they could have done things differently, but it would have affected the movie in a financial sense by making it the 3 hours it deserved.
Right.
And we even see the vice versa too, where they made things longer than they need to be to make more money. The Hobbit.
Yeah.
So we could have done that in
One
2
movie.
movies.
One. You could have done.
We could have done it in one.
One
We
long
could have
movie, and we're done.
One long movie or 2 like straight like good length movies. I think they could have done. I think 2 2-hour movies would have been perfect for The Hobbit. I think that would have given them much more leeway to make things better than they were. And drop the 48 frame thing. They didn't need that.
So 24 frames is fine
Yeah.
in the theater,
Yeah.
and that kind of CGI looks really bad at that frame rate. So that's all I'm saying.
It's disappointing.
It is. So yeah,
But the 48 frame thing was weird because while it did work in theaters, it didn't translate to the home very well because most home setups aren't equipped to do things like that, from what I understand. So it kind of put people in a weird position of like not being able to view it the way it was kind of intended to view
gotcha.
once it was out of theaters.
Buy a new TV.
I don't know, our AV setup's pretty decent. We'd probably be able to do it right.
Mine's garbage.
You gotta work on that. Or not. Doesn't matter. How about Doctor Strange? I'm interested.
Saw it yesterday.
Was it good?
Don't say anything about Doctor Strange.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
say,
don't.
I'm
No
not-
spoilers. No
I'm not-
spoilers.
I'm not gonna say anything about Doctor Strange then, because the entire thing is a gigantic walking spoiler fest.
Okay. Can you at least tell me?
What I can at
Good,
least,
not good.
what I thought it was fun.
Okay.
It was a ride.
It was
time.
it was a ride.
All right.
Was it
There were,
psychedelic?
there were things I liked. There were things I didn't like. There were
The thing
things.
I want to ask is the Shumagora fight,
What?
Okay, so
Can't be saying.
actually. Say yes or no.
yes. Also, and this is free information. This isn't unique to Doctor Strange.
It's not Shumagora.
From what I understand, never was, because there's a copyright issue with Conan the Barbarian being in that particular comic book, and Marvel's doesn't technically have rights to Shumagorath, but they do have rights to the character representation, so they can show it, and the fight's fun, but we clearly all know it's Shumagorath, but
don't-
it isn't called that in the movie.
I don't know who
Is
that
that-
is or what that
Is
is.
that one of those like elder gods stuff from Conan? They're like technically Lovecraftian.
I've never watched Conan the
Yeah, 'cause
Barbarian or read
Conan-
Conan the Barbarian.
Conan exists in a weird because
It's
the author
some
of Conan.
era.
It exists in its kind of its own era, and it does have a name, but I forget what it is. But Conan, the author of that, and the author H.P. Lovecraft were friends, and they were just kind of like,
Let's share.
Hey pals.
just use my eldritch horror in Conan because you're in such an
Those
indiscriminate time
mash up.
period. It works,
Yeah,
and it did.
kinda
And
does.
then Conan is somehow a comic book now.
He's
has been.
by
He's run
Marvel.
by Image, right?
I don't know.
Conan's Image, I think.
Is he? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's not DC or Marvel.
I know I think it's Image because Red Sonja is owned by Image, and she's
don't know who that
in.
is.
Red Sonja, is that Russian?
No,
I
she
don't write
is.
comic books.
She
I
is
don't
like the
really do
same
comics.
time period as Conan.
Gotcha.
They are like similar people.
Regardless, I thought it was fun. Again, there were things I liked, there were things I didn't like, there were things I despised.
Gotcha.
All I can tell you that I think might be fair to say, all the trailers you've seen, like Marvel has done, specifically try to subvert your expectations when you actually watch
I
the
like
movie.
that.
So just know when you go and watch in, you think one thing, watching the trailer, and you're like, you got me.
Yeah, kind of like that
You
one
got
scene
me.
from the Rogue One trailer where, she's like, "That's what we do, right?" We
Oh, yeah,
rebel."
yeah, yeah.
And it's like not in the movie at all.
Yeah,
We're
that
like,
there's complicated reasons
So,
behind some of that. But yes.
like, no. So I
yeah, I watched it. It was okay.
Corridor Digital, pretty famous YouTube channel. They do a lot of visual artist breakdown stuff. They'll actually get, because they're visual artists, and they'll get like industry professionals in who like have worked on specific movies. They'll do like stunt guys come in and break down fight scenes. They'll get visual artists to come in, break down visual effects. They'll get animators come in, breaking down animation stuff. Like they got the guy who had like a really heavy hand on designing Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, and he went like behind the scenes, understanding why they did things certain ways. And they went into like when Miles Morales is like first getting taught by Peter Parker. Peter Parker is animated on 1, so he's like really smooth, but Miles is animated on 2s. So for every frame Peter gets, or for every frame Miles gets.
Peter gets 2.
Peter gets 2 frames, so it makes like their animation is totally different. You can actually see it, and it gives like a feel to the movie that you don't necessarily know unless you get that background information. It's like that's why it feels that way.
I really liked what they did with that too. Is like the different art styles for each character. Like the one that was like anime style,
Exactly.
Spider-Ham.
It's stuff like
it
that.
was just really interesting.
It really brings characters to life. And one of the people they got on was someone who's worked on, I think it was someone from Weta, who's worked on a bunch of Marvel and a bunch of Star Wars too as well. And he, I guess, has some role on doing visual stuff for the trailers. And he talked about how they'll actually do things specifically with the trailer in mind that they know are not going to be in the movies, and they render that stuff out its own way. They actually talked about the blunder they had with the release of the Spider-Man Far From Home or No Way Home trailer in Brazil specifically. The one scene where they're fighting on the Statue of Liberty, right? At the end of the movie. Obviously, at this point, it's not a spoiler. All 3 Spider-Men are fighting together. In the trailer, they removed the 2
other Spider-Man.
They
the one
removed
the lizard.
Andrew Garfield and
they removed Andrew Garfield and
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire. They removed them from it. But in Brazil, the shot went like about a second and a half, 2 seconds longer
And
than
they
it
came
did
back-
in every other market.
And they came back in the shot.
So they didn't come in the shot. They were still removed from the shot, but because it went 2 extra seconds, you saw where.
Did you see like special
you
effects
saw-
or something
you saw
from
where
them?
Killer,
But there were no.
You saw where Killer Croc or the crocodile.
Killer Croc get kicked.
Is it Killer Croc? You see where he gets kicked
No, the
by
lizard.
one of.
What are you on about? It's the lizard.
You're right. It's the lizard.
It's the lizard.
It's the lizard.
Killer Croc's not even in that.
Yeah, you saw.
That's DC.
Is it?
Killer Croc's DC.
Oh,
The
okay.
lizard gets
Same.
kicked.
You saw where where the lizard gets kicked by Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's not there. So they're like, okay, so someone kicks this guy.
Invisible Spider-Man.
It's the other Spider-Man.
Could be
So that was
Invisible
one of
Woman.
the, that was
Well,
like
that's-
the first thing that
I
like
think-
confirmed. Yeah,
I thought a lot
they're
of people
in
were
there.
like, thought it was gonna be like a cross between Into the Spider-Verse because Miles Morales can go invisible. That's one of his powers.
That is
so.
true.
People were like, this might be how you bring in animated into actual.
Honestly, we could see stuff
MC.
like that. We are supposed to get Spider-Verse 2 possibly next year.
Just watch Doctor Strange.
I'm gonna watch Doctor Strange. I think we're planning to see it tomorrow, isn't that?
Oh,
Yeah.
and another thing for Doctor Strange for everyone else, if you haven't seen What If yet,
I already
Oh,
know.
you need to see What If.
I don't know if like I'm high off something, but I remember. Isn't there like a?
okay?
Isn't there a scene where in one of the trailers they have like the dark Doctor Strange show up, don't they?
Yeah.
yes.
Which-
So in the later trailers, they show him with the third eye, but in the other trailers, they don't show him with the third eye. All of that is important. Just watch the movie, you'll see.
I assumed there was gonna be a crossover between What
How
If
about-
and that, but
How about Moon Knight? Who's finished Moon Knight?
I haven't
Shelby and I
started.
finished Moon Knight.
I've finished Moon Knight. Has anyone over on the bench finished Moon Knight?
Okay, does anybody
We got Ben.
does anybody want to watch Moon Knight that hasn't seen Moon Knight yet?
I will
don't
watch
know what
it
that is.
eventually.
Okay. All right, so I'll just say it because Shelby and I thought the same thing. Okay, yeah, there's a third personality, and we weren't sure there was a third personality, but
Oh.
at the ending, we're like,
There.
Okay.
Okay.
oh, okay, clearly there was.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, I guess I don't read the comics, but
Oh,
I
so
guess
yeah.
I guess that's not typical
No.
Moon Knight thing.
No,
It's
Moon Knight history.
Moon
does
Knight
it?
does.
He has his normal one, then he has like his
There's much.
janitor clean one, and then he has the one who kills everyone.
Oh,
He's always had 3.
I thought it was 2.
No, he has like the one that's repressed.
Well, and I think
and
that
that's
was
the
one
guy
of the
who murders everyone.
And I think that was one of the benefits of them doing a Moon Knight show. Moon Knight is a very
offbeat, like no,
unknown
like
character.
I knew nothing about him except for Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the video game, because Moon Knight's in there, and he's a kind of a garbage character. But that's all I know about Moon Knight
That's
is that
okay.
he's in a Capcom
I-
crossover fighting game.
really enjoyed the show, and
was
I
fun.
still don't know what happened,
I like
and I'm okay with that.
my favorite part of Marvel has always been kind of the mystical side of it, like the Doctor Strange, Moon Knight,
Yeah.
and those people. So I'm happy that that's coming in, especially with from the end of Eternals with the Dark Sword or whatever. Dark Knight.
movie. Oh yeah, and Blade.
Yeah,
Coming up.
Blade. Oh, Blade's coming. That's
I'm really interested to see
I liked
what
Eternals, actually.
they
I
kind of
didn't.
do with these
it was
Egyptian
weird.
gods.
It was diversity of the movie forced down your throat. That's why I didn't like
I
it.
feel like the characters are always though. Like the characters have always been diverse.
It
to
was
me.
overtly in Eternals. Like that almost felt like it was the point.
It was the point.
Like, what was the Eternals about?
setting up the next phase.
See?
No, Black Widow was about setting up the next phase.
Yeah.
Eternals was about introducing concepts and not characters. That was my biggest problem.
I liked it. I really did. I thought it was just.
They,
I thought it
they
was
tried
just
to
one
make it
ride.
about characters, but the movie at its core was about setting up plot, not
Yeah.
characters. Like,
And that's
it was the
Maybe
weirdest
it's just
matchup,
me liking Harry Styles.
and it was too long
And that-
for what they were
Really?
doing.
I thought it should have been longer so they could get a better story out of it.
so that's kind of my
The
like
story they did get out of it wasn't.
I feel like I'm projecting like what I would want them to do. Also,
That might be it.
I'm starting to get not it's
again, Harry Styles.
I guess
fan,
it's
so I don't
Marvel
care.
fatigue, but it's that
No.
the MCU's like it's not collapsing in on itself, but like these movies are getting to the point where like the Eternals doesn't stand by itself, and if it does stand by itself, it's an awful movie. And it came out like the same time as Dune, longer running than Dune, and gets its butt kicked by Dune.
Dune was so
was really good.
Like literally all I remember about the Eternals is the very, very end where it's like, well, Icarus clearly flies in the sun. Spoilers, like we didn't know that. And then, oh yeah, Thanos' brother shows up, and everyone's like,
Hey, you mean Harry Styles?
Yeah,
that was
maybe.
great.
Yeah.
but yeah, that's it. It's like that's literally the only reason we had a almost 3-hour movie. And I'm
Yeah,
That's a reason to watch it again because Harry Styles is in it.
at least the post-credit scene.
Yeah, we watched it.
I
Yeah,
was,
I didn't-
I was
I
caught
don't
off
know
guard
if
by
I-
that. I was really
I
surprised
actually was too.
when they brought another character in and didn't use him, and then that it was Harry Styles. I was like, I'm into this. I like Harry Styles. I got no problem with
I
him.
think my thing with it is that I just like people being introduced, just characters. I don't care if they're used or not. I just like the fact that they show up and like
You're
I
the
got power.
worst kind of
Like,
viewer.
I like what is it? Deadpool 2. I love Deadpool 2 when he makes the X-Force and then they all die. And I was just like,
That was.
They
pretty
all
funny.
just showed
That
up
was
and they all
really
died.
well done.
once again, I will say, just wait until you watch Doctor Strange.
I'm expecting a lot of people to show up and a lot of people to go back to their own.
There was some
dimensions.
surprise. There was some surprising shows up. That is that a word?
Surprising shows
Show-ups
up.
Show-ups.
that happen in
I
Doctor
think
Strange.
you mean cameos.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't cameos. They're legit show ups, but at the same time you're like, oh, this is odd. You're here. That wasn't a great show, but you're here. And then other characters you're like, strange take. Okay.
Didn't know you existed.
It's a fun movie.
I'm
It's a fun movie.
I'm ready for it. Honestly, like I've been waiting for it, but it still kind of just came out when I wasn't expecting it to. Like I forgot that it was like
May's a
right
weird
around
month.
the corner, and here it is.
May's a weird month.
It's
May as
we're,
well.
we're in that weird like we're post COVID at this point, and we're like getting right into what would be movie season, and everyone's like, why go to the
Oh.
movies anymore? I can just stay home and watch this.
I'll tell you what I'm really
very
excited for.
Well, I mean, haven't there been a lot of movies that got pushed back because of COVID? So like this season's gonna be a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And some of them
because they know it's gonna get money.
and some of them just not releasing in theaters altogether and just going straight to home.
And what I'm really excited for is on the 27th. Well, there's actually a lot coming out on 27th. Obi-Wan drops the 27th.
Oh yeah.
Obi-Wan drops the 27th. I am so excited to see Ewan McGregor again as Obi-Wan. That's going to be amazing.
Hello there.
Hello there. We got that. Apparently Stranger Things season 4 starts if anyone's interested in that.
Part 1.
Is it part is
There,
season 4 part 1?
it's broken up into 2 different.
I'm okay with that. I think Stranger Things could be one of those shows where they push it further than it really needs to go, and it kind of hurts itself.
I think this is the last. All the trailers give the vibe of like this is it. This
Okay,
is.
I haven't watched any
Jimmy
trailers,
Morgan.
but I've liked it so far. And from what I understand, the creators have said we have a definite story that we're like we want to tell here. So I think it has direction, and it's
Right.
not just going to dwindle on because it makes
It's not
money.
based off of anything, is it? It's just
No, it's
Walking Dead. Anyone?
Yeah. How many last seasons have they had?
4.
That's ridiculous.
Brett Favre, is that you?
But yeah,
try it.
Stranger Things,
Stranger
Obi-Wan
Things.
Kenobi.
What I'm really excited for though, Top Gun Maverick. I am.
All the Navy boys are ready for. So we've been waiting for this.
I'm-
What? Not just like 30 years, but it was supposed to come out 2019, and then COVID happened.
So I
and
think
then
it got delayed.
they called some of us at
about
the base
3
and needed some help
years.
shooting some scenes, and we're like, okay.
Yeah, so I think it got delayed for about 3 years from when it was supposed to release.
Right, because of Scientology.
But it's coming out
This month.
36 years after the first one.
Tom Cruise hasn't aged a day.
36 years.
That tooth is
That's
still in the middle of his face.
insane. It is still in the middle of his face. I watched Top Gun last night, had a small watch party with some
fun.
people. That movie holds up.
It's pretty fun.
It is just, it's so good. I hope I get to.
Watches it for the scene where they play sand volleyball in jeans.
Absolutely.
You said
And
absolutely for a reason.
And the scene where he gets the girl and they just kiss for like 3 minutes straight, and there's just so much tongue, and I'm like, this was the 80s. Why? Why was this what the 80s did? It's weird. It's all silhouettes and blue light, and it's just a lot. But the music, oh my gosh, those soundtracks in the 80s. Danger Zone.
Maybe a problem that I only remember people playing volleyball more than the kissing scene with the girl.
It's the 80s was a weird time.
The 80s was a weird
Well,
time.
it's more of a personal problem,
Right?
I think.
That was a fire.
But
It's
yeah.
just it holds up. It really does, and I am very excited for Maverick because I mean, just from the trailers alone, it's going to be a feast for the eyes. It is going to be a beautiful movie. Just to see the dog fights and the scenes, and just like I feel like it's going to rival Dunkirk for some of like the amazing aerial shots that it
Dunkirk
has.
Well, it better,
Good.
because we had a hand in making some of it.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I didn't do anything personally,
I didn't
but the Navy as a whole,
It's a recruitment tool. It's fun.
It's cool. It's cool.
So is
I'm
Saber
really
now.
excited. That
That
was
now a
one
recruitment
thing.
tool.
That was one thing.
Join the Marines, boys.
The first time I watched
Watch
it
anime.
was before I started working with the Navy. This time watching it, I've been working with the Navy for six plus
now.
years, I think, at this point, or around 6 years. So it's like there's a little bit more insight to it now. Just like, dang, I kind of like know how a little bit of this works. And I was just thinking, when they're doing all the stuff on the carriers, when they're like taking off and landing the planes, I'm just like, man, all those people out there, that's like a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah.
Because I've worked on carriers, like I've done some stuff, and I'm like, these people are young. Like, I'm often the youngest person in the room with what I do, but some of these sailors are fresh out of high school. And
Also known as seamen.
Thanks for that.
Can we get a fact check on
Can we
that?
get a fact check on that, actually?
Yeah, my
BakaTaka!
Yeah, so needless to say, I will be watching Top Gun Maverick, hopefully the
In
day it
IMAX.
releases.
An IMAX.
Oh, dear God, I hope so.
3D.
I would travel for IMAX for that movie. I'm surprised we don't have an IMAX theater
No,
closer
IMAX.
to us, to be honest. IMAX is a format of movie release. It's big, it's filmed.
And I guess technically you can stream IMAX movies in your house.
So
I don't know how that
IMAX
works.
is not. IMAX is weird. IMAX is very, very weird because it's not just a way of shooting a movie. You have to shoot a movie IMAX to display a movie IMAX. But just because you shoot a movie IMAX does not mean you're displaying it IMAX.
Right.
But there's also a difference between an IMAX theater and a true IMAX theater. And
Okay.
shut up. I know I said it. I know. I've tried to fix it. I've tried for years to just say it theater. And I've done pretty good, but it slipped through there, Eric. Leave me alone. Theater.
Well,
Anyway,
Theatrics.
if I can see it in a true IMAX theater, I will be at a true IMAX theater. And I know there's one in Norfolk, which is actually really close to
was
where
gonna
I
say,
work
is-
a lot, so I might
Is
be down
is
there.
the Annapolis Mall?
No, the Annapolis Mall just has nice theaters. They are not IMAX.
There'd be a lot of semen at that.
so movies. We're skipping anime because that's dumb and boring. Unless
can
Chase
get to
really wants to
anime.
do that, we could
Aaron
do that.
and I
But
have
we're
actually
gonna
watched
skip
stuff.
that. What about you guys? You guys still play the Vigi games?
A little bit, yes.
So Aaron stopped playing Vigi games.
So recently,
What you been
Oh, I
playing,
play
Jordan?
League. That's it.
You actually play League? Get out of here. Get out. Crawl under the table and leave.
I would, but
yeah, his knees.
So George, you've been playing.
I have started Danganronpa V2.
Did
Is
I'm
it is V2?
I'm assuming you played the first one then.
I played the first
haven't
one.
played them.
It is not V2. It is just 2.
Is it
Goodbye
just 2?
Despair,
Okay,
yeah.
because it's V3.
Yeah, because Danganronpa
V3.
does this weird thing,
It's
right,
weird,
where
'cause-
it's like not numbered correctly, and you don't play it in that.
So,
like
they
the
are
third one
numbered
isn't the
already.
third one
Well,
you play,
the
right?
The reason it's called V3 is because the anime Danganronpa 3.
Yeah,
came out
that's
before.
why. It's
Because
something.
it goes Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc is the first one.
Right.
Then it's
Good name.
Danganronpa 2. Then it's
That's a horrible
Danganronpa
name.
3, the
The
anime.
anime.
That's a bad name.
Actually, sorry, correction again. There's
Oh.
Danganronpa, the spin-off game, Ultra Despair Girls, that comes out after 2.
Yes, and
And
some
then
people say you
there's-
should play that, and some people are like, it's optional. You don't have to
It
play it.
adds to it, but it's optional.
People,
Anime
what
games
I've heard is
confuse me.
watch like a YouTube video synopsis, and you're good for that one.
Wait
It-
till I
well-
tell you about my anime
you
Well,
don't-
games.
one of the disappointing things about it is it's a Resident Evil style game, but it's
Loki
very
Lucifer
like it's
Loki?
modern.
That?
It's like an anime game though.
What?
Yeah.
Resident Evil style game, how? Because
Like
all the
just
Resident
a-
Evil
a-
style
like-
games are not the
like
same.
like the over the shoulder. It's similar to like a 5 Resident Evil.
Oh, I thought Danganronpa was like
Does it still have the
It's
visual
that-
novel.
Resident Evil
Well, it's-
5 or
it-
5
Ace
Resident
Attorney.
Evils?
It's a spin-off.
Does
game.
it
Oh,
still-
the spin-off
Yeah,
game
the
is like
spin-off
that.
game is like
Sorry.
that.
Let me
that's not
hear me
Does
out.
it have the
Are you
tank
saying-
controls of 5?
I believe so.
right. 5 doesn't have
Yeah.
tank controls. No,
Well, okay,
5
they're-
does not
they're
have
not tank controls,
Tank
but
control,
they're not-
tank control stopped after 3. It's technically Code Veronica, but
Code Veronica.
We don't talk about Code Veronica.
Code Veronica was a good game.
I thought Code Veronica isn't Code Veronica. No, Raccoon City.
That's a
Operation
bad.
Rac-
That's a bad game. But yeah. Anyway,
Arguably,
so
5 is a
so
bad
you've
game.
been playing Danganronpas.
So I've been playing Danganronpa V2. I finished the first chapter, but then I kind of put it on hold because I picked up Horizon Zero Dawn again.
So have you been playing that on PlayStation, not PC?
PS4. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
the first one, not the
The first one. So I played it probably
There's 2.
year and a half
Yes.
ago.
Second one
yes.
came out sometime this year.
I think it was released with the
March?
PS5. Was it launched?
Fact check, when was
the
the second
second
Horizon?
game came out a month ago.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
I know. it
not
came out
launched.
recently.
Not launched.
But yeah, Horizon Zero
Basically
Dawn.
launched since no one
How,
can get
how
it at
far are
launch.
you into that? Because I made it like 2 or 3 hours, and then I'm like, I'm gonna
yeah.
play something else because I think I've
So,
done this before in a different game.
I enjoyed
confused me.
Horizon Zero Dawn when I picked it up. Okay, I started playing. I got probably about halfway through the game before
than
I
I did.
got disappointed enough with the combat. I did not enjoy the combat cycle. There's really 2 types of enemies. You're fighting humans or you're fighting the robot dinosaurs, and
Spoilers.
both
Oh my gosh.
get tedious.
Yeah, it felt tedious for me when I started fighting the robots because I was like, I can see this gameplay loop getting really weird
Yeah.
and how they try to expand your tool set.
The tool set is cool, and it doesn't really force you to use any specific thing. You get a lot of tools, and you can just kind of pick and choose what you want, modify it however you want, and just go to town, and it'll work. Unless you want to really start getting into like, oh, this thing is weak to that. Let me like switch out weapons so that I have like this set. But typically, once you get later weapons, you'll get things that have enough range. For example, at the beginning of the game, you'll get a bow, and it can shoot one type of arrow. And it's like, well, if that's not the type of arrow you need, sorry, that's the type of arrow you get. But later, you'll get a bow, and it's like,
electric arrows,
this
poison
bow,
arrows, fire
exactly.
arrows. Yeah.
and you can, on your wheel, you can equip 4 different weapons. So if you have like 3 different bows in there, you can cover every type of arrow that you're going to need, which is what I do. And then I throw bombs at everything because they do so much damage. But what I have
played
found,
a different game. I didn't do any of that.
so
Freedom of choices. You can
I
do
ran
all
at
kinds of things you
things,
want there.
and then I quit the game. So like, this is stupid.
So the combat is tedious, and nothing you do can really change that. And Guerrilla, I think they know that, which is why they gave you a story mode difficulty, because the story that they have is actually really good. Like the story of the game is very interesting. The world building is great. Like the travel, the environments are awesome. I will say they make it very defined. Like if you look at the map, it's very clear to see, oh, these are intended paths. Like you can walk on these. Obviously you can go off path, go anywhere you want, but like this is a road essentially in the game. And if you just follow it, you'll get where you need to go. Looking in the environment, kind of hard to tell what's the road and what's not the road. Like it's almost like just a slightly worn path through the woods sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm just lost, and I was trying to follow a specific dirt path, and now I can't find it. So that was kind of a little bit annoying, but not a huge issue. I mean, it kind of makes sense in the context of the game. So when I played it about a year and a half ago, I was playing it on normal difficulty, like I do everything. I got really bored of the combat, so I dropped it down to easy, and then I was like, okay, this is still tedious. And then I dropped it down to story, and then I like went a little bit further, and I'm like, this is better, but like having like jumped down those difficulties, I was like, now it's just like, why am I even playing this game if it's just like not fun that way? So I put it down, and then recently I was talking to some friends who were big fans of it, and he was
Try it again, pick it back up, man.
he wasn't even like that. It was just, it came up in conversation when we went, as you heard us talk about in the last episode, when Erik, Chase, and I went to the Sacred Symbols Pot live show, and they did the top 25 games. Horizon Zero Dawn was on there, obviously, for PS4. And I was like, you know what? A lot of people like this game. I'm going to pick it back up. So I picked it back up right where I left off. I didn't try to figure out any of the story stuff. So there's things I've forgotten, but like most of it, I was surprised I was able to pick it back up. I was really surprised how quickly I picked the controls back up. Very intuitive game to play, honestly. But because I put it down, having already had the difficulty set to story.
We're not getting into it.
Yeah, we're good.
Just about to, like, that noise, I was like, is this peaking? Like how it does at church. I'm like, oh my goodness, I dropped everyone down. I was like, what?
Oh no!
Yeah. Just like real quick.
That's funny.
Go ahead, you're good now. No.
We're good. I do have a question though.
So
I think one of the big reasons why I dropped Horizon Zero Dawn early on was because it came out when there were so many open world games. There was a bunch got dropped, like that, Breath of the Wild, a few others.
I'm not sure what
And
else
it was
dropped around
just
at
like-
the same time.
It was just like,
It's a
why,
popular genre
It
altogether
is,
at this
especially
point.
right
why
now.
play this one when there's the other ones?
The
and
story.
why waste 80 hours of my life?
You're not
So, first of all,
wasting. You are
Why
enjoying.
allocate 80 hours of my life?
You're
when I have
being you're
freaking
being a
grades?
Giga Chat enjoyer of this particular medium for 80 hours.
So what I found when I
Fair
got
enough.
back into it, having left the difficulty on story mode, when I picked it back up, I just got right back into it, and it's just story mode's the way to play that game, in my opinion. The difficulty, if the difficulty being higher would be fun if the combat cycle was more enjoyable, but it's not. So leave it on story mode. The story is really good. It's really interesting to go through and explore the world. I think it's as big as the world is, it's very easy to manage and like run around. You get places quickly, even if you're just running on foot. Finding the collectibles is interesting. Doing the side quests, talking to characters, like every single line in that game is voice acted. So it works really well. Some are acted better than others.
Fair.
It's really funny when you're like talking to a character and I'm like, they're gonna die at the end of this conversation, but they're delivering it like they're completely fine. I'm like, I don't know if they told this actor that they were going to die after this line, so like wheeze a little bit. You know what I mean?
Cough a little.
Come on, man, do it. Add that
Get
in there.
into character.
But,
I feel like my character wouldn't cough during this.
But I would say, and I think Aaron, what you were saying is why play that. The story is the reason to play that. The world building is very interesting and unlike anything else I've played, and I think that it being open world was one of the things that led me to putting down for the first place, because I put down Breath of the Wild for about a year when I first started playing it, because I was a Nintendo kid. You know, we didn't do open world until Breath of the Wild.
We got rails, boys. We have rails.
Exactly.
So in the defense of Rails, open world doesn't immediately make a good game. If anything, it's harder to design a good game that's open world. If
Absolutely.
anything, I would say it's almost impossible to do, because if you give the person too much freedom, it's kind of like
You get
So
overwhelmed.
the problem,
So
I think,
it's-
I agree in a sense where it's like when you're making an open world. I'm gonna use my class. I
Okay,
took a class
okay.
on this.
all right.
So the problem is when you're making an open world, you're making it for everyone and not a group, in a sense, because you're making a world that should be enjoyed by everyone, but you have an audience.
So, for my brain, to pull in some game theory, I take it in the same way we think of chess. Chess has very definitive rules. It has a playing field. It has designs for what the characters do. If you take all that away and you just say, I'm putting this down, let's play, you're going to look at me and say, are you stupid? We can't just do that. And then I'll say, okay, let me give you the open world. So I'll draw you out the board, and then be like, let's play. And again, you'll say, well, what? Then you start defining
Finding
spaces, and then you say, go and play, and you're like, well, what are my pieces? So then I give you a few pieces and say, go and play. What do the pieces do? You know, you just keep building on that.
Yeah.
Bad open world games just say, here,
Yeah.
and that's
Here's
it.
all the things. Now it's your sandbox. Do what you
Really
want.
good ones are like, here's the definite playing board, but at the same time, I can give you some different boards while you play that can interest you. Which
So-
my argument's going to be that's not open world anymore because you're going to direct the player.
Exactly.
Which I think is a better game than just saying free for all. I think there's a place for a free for all
Absolutely.
kind of game, but it's very hard to construct like a story and then an open world to just do something because you have to guide the player
Yeah.
into the thing.
Well,
and
yeah.
if there's no rails to do that,
Yeah.
you're just like sandbox.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
games that design their environments well, like Breath of the Wild did a
Right,
very
yes.
good job of like guiding you invisibly. So it's an open world. You can go anywhere and do anything, but they design it in a way that it's like, oh, it's open world and I can do anything, but I can see that and I'm gonna do that thing, and then all like the little side things that happen on the way to there, and then it's like I didn't even get to do that thing, but every time it's just like there's another little thing that I can do, and it guides you in that way, and that's how they kind of keep you on track. And I think that's a very successful way of doing that. I have not personally experienced an open world game
It's
that
hard to do.
has like clearly not done a good job of that, because I haven't played many
Yeah.
open world games.
Play a Bethesda game.
I have
Fallout
played
76?
I have played a little bit of Elden Ring though.
Oh, I haven't at all.
Only a little bit. I don't even.
Uh-oh.
You played Ghost of Tsushima.
Is it?
Ghost
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, and Death Stranding.
Yeah, no, but I'm what I mean is that those I haven't played one where I think they did a bad job. I think Ghost of
okay,
Tsushima and Death Stranding both did very good jobs.
Because you're playing the cream of the crop. You're not
Exactly.
You're
I
not-
haven't played crappy open world games.
They're expensive to make.
Yeah.
They're very expensive. And when they suck, they suck. If you can fall through the map, they're bad.
There was one
Maybe
part.
Pokemon Legends Arceus.
I haven't played it.
I have played one not great
Ah,
open
there
world
it
game.
is.
Now, I don't think, again, I've played very little because I didn't enjoy it. But I don't think the world was the issue. I think the gameplay is the issue there. It's the same thing over and over. It's you go out, you throw some
Bad gameplay loop.
Pokeballs. Yeah, it's a bad gameplay loop. And it didn't feel rewarding. Eric, can you chime in? You've played a little bit more than I have. Have you beat the game or?
No, you actually played more than me because I did the first tutorial quest. I was like, this is not for me, and then I stopped.
Yikes.
I should have never taken that Amazon package down to his room. I should have just kept it and kept him from that pain.
Yikes. Yeah, I think Death Strand, not Death Stranding. I think Arceus was a great step in a direction that I would like to see Nintendo do more. I don't think it
Refinement.
was it.
Gotcha.
I don't know. For me, I feel like a lot of open worlds have always kind of been like the same premise, is that you're like, yeah, you can do whatever you want, but then you always end up sneaking everywhere, and that's how it ends. Like, I'm gonna hide and then shoot them because there's 30 of them.
Not
and
with
one of
Horizon
me.
Zero Dawn on story difficulty.
See, that's
Forget the sneaking. Just go in. Hit.
But when I played it on normal, and that was
You need to sneak.
I don't like sneaking. And
Yeah.
I would run in and I'd be like, guess I'm
See,
restarting the
well,
mission.
see,
and
that's
I'm
the thing.
sneaking now.
Sounds like you're playing story mode.
Ghost
Yeah.
of Tsushima, the sneak is done really well. The gameplay loop for going in, fighting, and like killing a bunch of people before you like accidentally get seen and then you start the rest of the fight, a lot of fun. Zero Dawn basically is set up the same way where it wants you to do that. But I would say the level design on the macro scale where you get into those fights, because obviously it's open world, but then it's like, oh, at this point, you're going to go to this place and you're going to fight these people, and this is the environment you're fighting at. I think those environments specifically were not designed well for sneaking around those fights. It's like, I don't know where I can walk that won't get me seen, so I'm just going to go in and hit everything. Ghost of Tsushima does an amazing job of letting you sneak through like cracks in fences and hide in reeds and get on buildings and jump, and like you can shoot a bunch of people. You can very clearly understand if I kill this person, who's going to see them or who won't see them. So like who's safe to take out right now from a distance, go in, who do I need to take out first so that like their path won't get them caught by anyone else. It's like it works really well. It just, some games do that better than other, and I think that point it comes down to
Sniper Elite.
At that point it comes down really interestingly to forsaking the idea of it being an open world, but giving them a very defined level that is contextualized inside the open world. I mean, even Divine Beasts
I would
were in
much
Breath of the
rather
Wild.
game designers step away from the open world and the procedurally generated world
Yes.
concept games because it influences very bad game design. Because if
Absolutely.
you give too much freedom, you're not making a very good game.
I agree.
And if you constrict the freedom too much, you make a very uninteresting game.
Yeah.
Because tic-tac-toe at some point is just not fun anymore,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But if you infinitely expand it out, you have an impossible game that's meaningless too. So game design's hard, but open world games in particular, there's some good ones. There's some really, really bad ones, but there's some good ones.
There
Pass
was
that class.
I'll say, I think we got to wrap up here soon, but I will say one game that was very interesting to me was Last of Us Part 2.
Oh, that's right. I remember you.
The Last of Us
talking
Part
about it a
2,
little bit.
forget
Way-
all the other
stuff that comes
nonsense about it, but the level design was really well, and it was great because it is, at its core, a linear game. You go through a straight beginning, middle, end story, but throughout it, you'll get to sections that are more open world. Toward the beginning of the game, you'll hit one, and it's just, I can go around, break into different like ruined buildings, explore. I've got to find like different parts to like move on through it, through this section of the game. But it's an open world, but only so far as this one area to move forward down a linear path. And I think that was a really interesting way of doing that I haven't seen anywhere else, and I think that worked really well.
Gotcha.
I mean,
True.
Xenoblade Chronicles does do that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very
hard.
open world
it's
areas.
hard. It's hard to define like what is an open world game at that
you need
point.
restricted open world.
Xenoblade Chronicles is probably one of my favorite games that I've never beat.
Third one's coming out.
I'm gonna buy it,
Like
special
this
edition.
month?
Not play it
This
because I
month or
haven't
next
finished the
month,
first
something
one.
like that.
Haven't played the second one. Haven't played X. Have all of them.
Start with Xenogears on the PlayStation. You'll thank
Dude,
me.
gross.
You'll thank me.
Oh, that's
So,
far.
wow, that was BakaTaka.
Thanks for that.
That was BakaTaka episode number.
432.
I was your
Or something.
host, Jeff. Clear to my right was,
George.
and in the middle.
Aaron.
And with that, I can hear the music bouncing up in my head.
Maybe. Oh, do we have a budget for that?
You've been watching and listening to BakaTaka. From left to right, we have George, Aaron, and Jeff. Fact checker for today has been Erik, and me, Chase, has been on the controls.
We do. Chases the budget. And actually, I think
I spent it all on the
I
monitors.
think all the music he pulls from that is like public domain, like free garbage you can
Oh,
get.
then yeah, we've got plenty of budget for free music.
So
Man, the
it's
budget's endless right now.
not really
Infinite.
much of a budget.
Sweet.
But